we're going to talk about groups here. I'm very intrigued by it. I understand the general concept of groups. I've built Facebook groups and all of that, but I've never built a group inside of LinkedIn. And so talk me through, I'm assuming it's easy to set up the groups. I'm not going to go into any of that, but okay, so let's draw the scenario out. I got a group. It's called Maryland, DC, Virginia Leaders, Digital Marketing Leaders. And here I am. I got a nice little banner up there. The group looks good. 0 members. Walk me through the step-by-step of what I would do to grow that group.
So one of the first things that you're going to do is you want to make sure you have a lot of prospects who are going to be interested in that group that you're already connected to, so that you can do kind of a bulk invite. Once you get the group set up, you can do a bulk invitation to invite all of them to join. There's an automated way to just do a couple clicks and send it to a bunch of your connections. And that'll get you your first probably, maybe a couple hundred people joining the group, maybe 100, not a ton usually. And so a lot of people will say, well, do I then start the group before I connect with people? Yeah, typically we do. And then people will say, like, well, how could I, when I'm connecting with people, how can I call myself the founder of the Maryland DC Marketing Leaders Network when the group has 0 people in it and it's not even a thing yet? People don't look into that. When they see your connection request come through, they just accept it. They're not like, let me research and see if this thing exists yet. And if somebody did that, you'd just be like, hey, it's just getting started, man. It's all good.
So can I pause you real quick there? Because I have a question. I have 20,000 connections, and I have so many connections with people that would be completely unrelated to this, and I may not even want them in the group.
Sure.
They're from all over the world. They're not executives or professionals necessarily in that regard. Do I want to do a mass invite?
That the efficiencies that you gain by doing that, most of the people who aren't interested in it will just be like, oh, that's not for me, and they just ignore it. And then some people who are goofy and have nothing to do with that but still want to join it because they just love your stuff, well, then you just got more people in your group, and it helps the numbers to show that there's more members here. So I would say to do it. But if you really don't want to, there's ways to get around it, but you're creating a lot more work for yourself.
Nah, I don't like work. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so step 1, make sure you have a lot of contacts already. I can say for myself, check mark. I don't know how many local contacts I have, but the other okay, so let me ask you this. I don't have a big local network necessarily because I've never needed it, but my executive vice president of sales and marketing, who's going to be leading this project, he does. He's connected to a ton. So can he also be an admin of the group and do the exact same thing I'm doing with my contacts? Can he do that with his?
Totally. I love that. I mean, you could leverage anybody in your office. You could have all the people on your team doing the same thing to all of their connections and inviting them all to be a part of it.
Oh, that could get fun. All right. Well, then we got a lot of connections. All right. So great. So now all of a sudden we do have a lot of targeted people that could be getting into that group. So make sure you have contacts already. Step 2 was do a bulk invitation to not only all of your connections, but hey, anyone else that's connected. In my case, I've got quite a few, actually, 4 or 5 really strong team members that would have strong LinkedIn profiles. All right, let's keep going. Step 3.
So the next step from there is really going to be, for what we do is we're going to just be doing ongoing prospecting. So one of the very first things we do almost at the same time that we create the group is we go out and connect with lots and lots of prospects. And we're going to then also include in that messaging campaign that I talked about earlier, your invitations to join the group. Because some people are just not going to see that automated invite. Some people will maybe just ignore the first one. And so that's going to be a way to get more people in the group is to just manually invite people with one-on-one messages in LinkedIn. And then as you continue prospecting on an ongoing basis, because that's a big part of our system. We need to keep adding lots of people into the top of the funnel so that we get that 20% to fall out at the bottom. And then every month we've got people working through this process like clockwork. And part of that messaging campaign on an ongoing basis is inviting people to join the group. So that's a big part of it. Other things that you can do from there, you can run ads to get people to join the group. You can put little badges on your website promoting the group. Now with ads, it's interesting that LinkedIn ads are more expensive than Facebook ads. So LinkedIn ads to get people to join a LinkedIn group, probably more expensive than what you're going to want to spend. But with Facebook ads, interestingly enough, I don't see many people do it, But you can use Facebook ads to get people to join a group and get people in there for $1 or $2 a piece at times. Depends on the market, but it's certainly worth trying. So those are just a few ways to do it. You might, if you've got other email lists with people in your local area that you've built in other ways, you can promote the group that way. And then really it's just an ongoing effort of continuing to promote the group, continuing to connect with new people, invite them into the group, and so on.
So when you talked about the Facebook strategy just a second ago, were you talking about getting people into a Facebook group or using Facebook ads to get people into your LinkedIn group?
Facebook ads to get people into your LinkedIn group.
Smart. Yeah. So, because I know for a fact on Facebook, I can easily target within a 50-mile radius of where I am, people that are listed as marketing professionals, CMOs, VP, director of marketing. It's not a small pool. It's probably about 100,000 or so once I start to even get a little bit down, to the mid-level management. That's a great idea. Yeah, like actually putting that in a video ad and then just linking directly to the LinkedIn group to get them to join. That's awesome. We do have an entire round where I'm going to talk to you about ad strategy, so I'll save some of my ad questions for that. I had a question when you said ongoing prospecting to engage them. Am I ongoing prospecting for new connections or ongoing prospecting to existing connections to get into the group?
Well, it can be both, but really what I was speaking to is ongoing prospecting to get new first-degree connections.
Okay, so basically, like I said, I have 20,000 connections. My goal is let's grow that, but now let's strategically grow it to local people.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
So when we talk, we could talk more.
You could use the profiles of a couple of other people in your office as well to do it. You mentioned you've got a VP on your team who's got a lot of growing connections. It might make sense to have him developing connections as well, because if you've already got 20,000 connections, he probably has a lot less than that. So he might have more runway. You max out at 30,000. So when you get to that point for your account, you might have to then have someone go through and weed out some people.
Kick people. I didn't know there was a max, so now I gotta start kicking some people out.
Yeah.
I don't need you.
The other thing I want to say about LinkedIn groups before we move on is a lot of people will say LinkedIn groups, is that still a thing? And it is if you do it the right way. And the other thing too is that LinkedIn has come out and said within the last year that basically they see that Facebook is kind of eating their lunch with Facebook groups, and that they're going to make a comeback, and that they're reinvesting into LinkedIn groups to try and have a resurgence. So LinkedIn groups are going to be gaining in popularity.
I was just going to say this. So this is probably the time to get in, because they're about to move a lot of focus point on it, give it probably more organic reach and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. I believe so.
So I have a question. I don't know if this falls into the ad section or whatever, but we are talking a lot about prospecting, connecting. LinkedIn offers you these like 3 levels. I forgot what they are. You can buy up like Sales Navigator, and they have a couple of other ones that give you certain amount. Does any of that help? Is there one that like you immediately would tell me if I came on as a client? Is there a level that you'd immediately say like, listen, you have to buy that level of membership because it makes all the difference in the world?
Yes, it's the Sales Navigator account.
Sales Navigator.
That's it.
Okay. Now, I don't know if we're even allowed to publicly talk about this, so I'm not going to give the name, but one of my very good friends, CEO of a company, bought into this crazy, wicked plan at LinkedIn, which costs a lot of money. We're talking 5 figures, but he swears by it. He uses it for hiring. He swears by it. It allows him unlimited use, crazy amounts of data, ridiculous searchability to get like super pinpointed. He's hired like 4 or 5 very high level people from it. We've been considering getting that tool here just for the hiring perspective, but I'm starting to. Do you know what that tool is? I don't even know what it's called. I'm supposed to get connected to it, but would something like that add even more legs to this strategy for us if we had that kind of prospecting tool?
I think it's LinkedIn Recruiter that you're talking about. And in our experience, most of the time, it's not necessary for executing the system that we're using. There's probably some bells and whistles that come with it that are super helpful, though. So it's been a while since I've really looked at that one. Most people, Sales Navigator is so powerful. I think it's about $100 a month.
That's nothing. All right. And what about InMail? Do you use InMail a lot? Is that a big part of your strategy, or do you not bother with it much?
It's not a big part, but with a Sales Navigator account, you get some InMails, and so we'll utilize them, but it's not a big part of our strategy because InMail is used to send messages to people that you're not connected with already. And so marketing to people we're not already connected with is not a huge part of our strategy. The way that we bring them into your network is with the connection request.
Okay, got it. How big of a group do you think I'd have to have? So I can put 200 people in my auditorium here. If I wanted to, let's say I wanted to plan an event 3 months down the line, that's my kickoff event. That's when I'm going to announce our B2B services. I want 200 professionals in the room. Roughly, if you had to just, right off the top of your head, just say you would need at least this many members in your group, what would you think?
Well, the client that I shared with you earlier has in the neighborhood of 10,000 members in his group, and he gets 200 people at his events.
So those are 200 paid though, right? They're paid to come.
Free.
They're free. Okay. Yeah. So about a 10,000 group, and I could pretty much say, hey, I should be able to get 200 people in a room. If I can get 200 people in a room, I'm pretty sure I could close a good percentage of them with what we're offering. So that's really helpful. All right. So to recap, growing a group, make sure you've got connections already. Make sure you do bulk invitation to all your connections and to anyone else that you might be connected to in your company. They could invite their individuals. Ongoing prospecting to build the top level means new connections. And then, of course, in your communication plan, first, second, third, fourth messaging, invite them into the group. Run ads on LinkedIn if you want. They're a little bit more expensive, but you can also run ads on Facebook and pick up members for $1 or $2 into your group, and you can do pretty good targeting on Facebook. And last but not least, Sales Navigator, $100 a month will really help you in your prospecting. Last question for this round, again, self-serving. Josh, I'm just curious. Let's say I just came to you and said, Josh, here you go. You do it. Here's access to my profile. Like, what are the pricing? Like, what range of pricing do you guys offer? Because there's a lot of people watching right now that are probably thinking, man, I really want to do this, but I want them to know the reality of what's it going to cost if Josh does it for them.
Yeah, absolutely. If we just do it all for you, it starts at $2,500 a month, and that's for really, we're going to aim to get you somewhere between 10 to 15 sales appointments a month at that price point. And then if you want us to also include the promotion of an event, that's really a custom deal where we'd have to dig in deeper to put together a special proposal for you on just doing that. Most of our clients are just saying, hey, get me some sales appointments. And then a little further down the road in the relationship, we might say, hey, why don't we start doing some more stuff to convert this online thing into a real world community? And that's usually, that's going to be a higher price. And then for our program where we get it all set up for you and do the initial build out and get you connected to lots of people, and then kind of hand you over the Corvette, and all you got to do is then drive it away, is a $7,000 one-time investment. It takes us about a month to build it all out for you.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.